Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of Rudy's Rant, powered by Come On Now, the podcast. I am your host, Rudy Rodriguez Shomont, and this is Rudy's Rant, where we talk facts over feelings. Before we jump in, thank you so much for continued support of this channel. Appreciate your support. Please be sure to like, subscribe, follow, hit that bell, become a member. Membership live every Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Let's jump in. Topic of this rant is the Time Magazine article about Caitlin Clark and the fact that she won Time Magazine Athlete of the Year. Now, I did a video a couple days ago in reference to Cheryl Swoops' attitude towards Caitlin Clark winning this prestigious honor. But there are some things to break down within the article, which clearly has a slant of, let's face it, of what we know to be in the WNBA as activism and this need to not just be about sport, but be about everything except the actual sport. So there's a few, more than a few, but a handful or two or four handfuls of excerpts that I have screenshot that I want to talk about because I think Caitlin Clark, for in the basic grand scheme of things, made a mistake. I just have to, I view it that way. I think that she went out of her way to try to change the narrative, change the picture, change the opinion that these players, largely black players in the league, have of her. The opinion, the narrative that they have decided they have of her. The comments that she received last season. I mean, you name the player. There were so many. And at the end of the day, she let her play speak for itself. But there is a certain narrative that they have, and a picture that they have painted to almost create this villain-like character of Caitlin Clark. But and the fans of Caitlin Clark. But at the same time, we know Caitlin Clark's not a villain. We know, as fans of hers, that she is probably the most humble basketball player off the court that exists in this league, especially with all that she has to deal with. On the court, she's a dog. She's a savage. And the article does talk about, her attitude on the floor and, her sometimes losing control of her emotions and so forth, which is dated back years from what the article shows. But let's jump in on this because I'm a huge Caitlin Clark fan. I just don't think she needed to go through this and bend the knee and kiss the ring. That's what I believe it to be. She bent the knee and she kissed the ring. And I'm going to give you examples of how she did that. I'm also going to point out how the article was written to also hit into that area. So let's jump on in on the first comment that I screenshot. This is, to be clear, this is from the author. To be clear, Clark had plenty of help, and that was in reference to building the WNBA. The WNBA was already enjoying positive momentum going into the 2024 season thanks to MVPs like Asia Wilson and Brianna Stewart, and some of Clark's fellow rookies like Angel Reese and Cameron Brink brought their own followings. But Clark took the league and the sport to a new level. Even during a period when investment across women's sports is surging, team valuations are on the rise, and fan interest and engagement are at all-time highs. Her arrival was transformative. That's a crock of bull. Like, that's just a crock of bull. Because the league was not on the rise. The league has been a dead dog for 27 years. Asia Wilson and Brianna Stewart had no impact on making this league better. Angel Reese brought some fans. Cam Brink may have brought some fans. Cam Brink barely played. But at the end of the day, Clark took this league. Clark's fans came into this league. Caitlin Clark brought the viewership to this league. And it's very simply told to you based on the numbers, the viewership, the attendance, and that's everywhere. So this type of lead-in already shows you that this article is slanted in a direction to appease the woke mob of the WNBA, the activists. That's what's being done here. You can see it. So yeah, I completely disagree with this nonsense of the momentum. There was no momentum. The momentum was created by Caitlin Clark in college. That's just the truth. Let's look at the next excerpt. I jump into this next comment. This was a comment made by Atlanta Dream owner Renee Montgomery, and she referred to Caitlin Clark as box office. But my problem with this is that Renee Montgomery has had plenty of negative things to say about Caitlin Clark and the people who watch Caitlin Clark. Or she refers to the Caitlin Clark stands, STANS. She's disrespectful to Caitlin Clark's fans. So let's jump into what she said back in September. So while you called her box office here, let's go into the next comment that you made about her. When you go back here and you see this article where she says she came down on the faction of the fan base of the Indiana Fever rookie Caitlin Clark, saying they are being racist, sexist, and violent with their words. Well, let's talk about that for a second. Why? Because the fact that you would sit here and say that these are Caitlin Clark fans is a problem. These are not fans, these are trolls. People who are doing things like that are not fans of Caitlin Clark. They're there to troll. They're not real fans. Real fans don't do this. Real friends don't get involved in this type of crap. Montgomery launched into a diatribe early this week on her podcast, calling a portion of Clark's fan base stans who have taken on a life of their own. Stan is a term coined by rapper Eminem in his 2000 release by the same name, in which he refers to overzealous and obsessive fans, sometimes in disturbing ways. Besides the bots, I don't even think of some of Caitlin's faux fans actually even watch her games. And it doesn't even seem like then they're not fans, Bernay. That's what you don't get. If they don't watch her games, they're not fans. So what are you talking about? And that's what makes Renee Montgomery. And first of all, Renee Montgomery, as an owner, a part owner of a team, should learn to shut her mouth. Because what you cannot go around doing that as a part owner of a team. And I never did a video on this back when this happened, but I meant to. But I never did it. So I'm going to talk about it now. You're an owner of a team. You cannot be talking about fans in this way. These are not fans, not to mention. And you should have the intellect and intelligence to understand that these people are not fans of the league. They're not fans of Caitlin Clark. They're just people trolling. And if you're sitting here saying in one sentence, they don't even watch her games, then they're not fans. So you contradicted yourself just so you can hear yourself speak. And it doesn't even seem like it's about Caitlin anymore. Then why you keep talking about it? If it's not about Caitlin anymore, the stands, why are you talking about it? Like, it doesn't even seem like they care what goes on in the basketball aspect. They're just on they're on social media, ready to fight. Then again, they're not fans. You have contradicted yourself in what you said about her, but you did acknowledge she's box office. Why didn't you say that during the season? She went on to say she is not singling out all of Clark fans. Y'all are straight. Like, I love it. Support your player. I'm speaking on a particular group that is motivated by hate and destruction. If that's not you, then that's not about you. But you can't go out here and say it's her fans and then say, well, no, it's a segment of you. That segment, they're not fans. Like, this is like, I feel like I'm talking to a dumb kid. How this woman's an owner of a team, it must have cost 50 cents to buy ownership into the Atlanta Dream. It must have cost a nickel and a dime. I don't know. Because if this is the type of owner you have in the WNBA, that's part of the problem. You have a complete utter imbecile as an owner in the league because she's an idiot. Not liking, taunting, or even hating an opposing team or players is what Montgomery loves about sports. So please don't confuse me saying motivated by hate by meaning hating on a team, blah, 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 like a diehard fan would. Okay. A diehard Falcons fan can hate the Saints, but they would be going a little bit too far if they created nude AI pictures of Saints players and then sent them to the Saints players' families. That's what Caitlin stands have done to Angel Reese. How do you know? How do you know? You're speaking in facts now. You made it. That's a pretty serious allegation to make when you don't actually know that to be a fact. You don't know that as a fact. She stated something as a fact that there is proof of, and she has no idea. She just thinks this. Again, these are not Caitlin Clark fans. How do you know an Angel Reese fan didn't make that? How do you know some random guy who doesn't like Angel Reese or wants to embarrass Angel Reese didn't make that? Hell, how do you know that people that know Angel Reese didn't make that, who maybe have beef with Angel Reese? You don't know. So to imply or infer that Caitlin Clark, people that like Caitlin Clark, did this, it's number one, you're bordering on defamation level stuff because you have no knowledge. Obviously, no one can sue you because you're not speaking about one specific person. But the fact of the matter is, you don't know. So you made this up. This comparison is a joke. It's a joke. And then she says, a diehard Tennessee Vols fan could have hated our UConn Huskies, but they would have been going way too far if they'd sent death threats to the UConn players. That's what Caitlin stands at. Again, how do you know? Has someone been arrested? Has someone been arrested and said, I'm a Caitlin Clark fan? No. You made some more stuff up. Who's received death threats? Who? Who specifically? See, like when you make allegations of this nature, you better have proof, and the proof can't be in the form of a DM from a fake profile on IG, because you don't know who sent it. So to say and sit here and say Caitlin Clark fans or a segment of her fan base, the same segment that you just said doesn't watch games, is just randomly sending messages to WNBA players because they feel like it. In the world of this world, that's called a troll. There are trolls in everything. They're not fans. They're not supporters. So you're an idiot. Folks might be ready to fight. It's not okay. It's okay to be a hater in sports, blah, 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 blah. At least you said, come on now. What are we doing? Come on now. Yeah, you're right. That stuff in life is not acceptable. But again, you've attributed it to a player. You've attributed it to a section of people who cheer on a player who you've also said in the same article that don't watch games. So they're not really fans of the player. Do you hold Angel Reese's fans accountable? Do you hold the things that other players' fans say accountable? Because I can show you a laundry list of comments made by Angel Reese fans about Caitlin Clark that are disparaging as hell, threatening in nature. I've seen them. I'm not going to post them, but I've seen them. Do you hold Angel Reese accountable for that? No, you don't. Why? Because you can't control what trolls do. You can't control that. Those aren't fans. Those are trolls. Those are people that have nothing to do. The same people that just hack into computers for fun. They got nothing to do. Moving along. This now talks about the Angel Reese situation. And this is where we're going to get into some of the comments that Caitlin Clark made and the quotes and the things that she said in this article that I found to be like, why? Why would you go that? Why would you waste your energy and go that direction to, I mean, for lack of better words, support people who haven't supported you? Let's be real. Let's be real. You don't have to defend everybody. That's not your job. It isn't. It's not your job to defend Angel Reese's conduct. It's not your job to defend her actions. It's not your job to put yourself in her head, because we all know what it was. But you're graceful, better than most of us, and you accepted and allowed this to happen, and you're going to defend her now. Here we go. Reese was labeled as classless and worse. Clark and Reese were pitted against each other as rivals, a narrative that has carried over the WNBA. I don't get that at all, says Clark. We're not best friends by any means. Let's be real. They're not friends. They're colleagues. They're associates. That means they know each other. But we're very respectful of one another. I would disagree. I don't find what Angel Reese does to be respectful of anybody. If you think that this is where I'm like, If you think that her behavior is respectful, then hey, that's you. But I don't believe. I wonder if Clark really believes this, or this is where we're going into the point of we're gonna defend everybody and we're gonna keep nice and we're gonna the same shit she did all year when she'd be in press conferences defending behaviors of other people and saying they didn't do it on purpose. Yes, we have had tremendous battles, but when have I ever guarded her and when has she ever guarded me? She downplays Reese's gesture. I didn't think it was taunting. Everyone thought it was taunting. Everyone thought it was taunting. If you did that in a college football game, it would draw a 15-yard penalty. It would. And if you did it a second time, you would be ejected. It absolutely would. This, and this, when you're that close to her and following her on the floor, it's absolutely taunting. In no world is it not taunting. If you did it to her and you were that close to her, it would be taunting. And if you followed her around the floor, it would be taunting. From 40 feet away, nobody cares. When you're that close to somebody and you got your hand like that in her face, this isn't the WWE. It's not the WWE. It really didn't bother me. No, I know what bothered Caitlin Clark. What bothered Caitlin Clark was they lost the national championship. So really, I don't think she cared because she was more pissed off that they lost. It's just like, why don't you talk about them winning or the incredible run that we went on that nobody would have thought we could have ever gone on? Well, the only thing that people cared about was this controversy that was really fabricated and made up. And then that has continued to be the case ever since. Well, let's talk about that because why didn't we talk about them winning? Why? Because Angel Reese made it about her. Angel Reese made it about her. It wasn't about winning anymore for Angel Reese. While her teammates are celebrating, excited for winning a national championship, she's more worried about walking around following you on that court, doing this to your face, doing the ring finger to follow you around. No one else did that. She made it about herself. The game was not important to her. I think we've now seen that based on the fact that she begs for the ball in double doubles and padding her stats. Her biggest concern is herself. It's never been about her team. We've seen it. We have evidence we have evidence of Angel Reese behavior to back up that opinion. And while it may not be fact out of Angel Reese's mouth, you give me enough data and enough action that I can use that and say, this is my opinion. Well, you gave me the ammunition to say that's my opinion. And it actually backs up my opinion. So, and no one's ever going to talk about the team that lost. No one's ever going to talk about the team, the run you went on because you lost. If you had won and finished the job, everyone would have been talking about you just knocked off South Carolina, who was undefeated, 11-point favorite, and then you finished it off by knocking off LSU. Like that would have been a big story. It was a big story that Iowa beat South Carolina, but it lost its steam when they lost to LSU. So no one's going to talk about the team that came in second in that situation as far as like in great depth and detail. Whereas in this situation, Angel Reese, she made her bed, man. She has to lay in it, man. And you're too nice because she made the story all about her. So this again, you're defending someone whose behavior has made them look a certain way. See here. Now, this now is going into the sorry. Let me get to the one. All right. Why is it doing that? Okay, I'm pushing the wrong button. All right. Now we look at this this is where she thanks everyone. Okay. Clark's segment did include a more serious moment. This was when she was on Saturday Night Live, where she thanked all these players. She thanked Lisa Leslie, Cheryl Swoops, Cynthia Cooper, Dawn Staley, Maya Moore. Clark's basketball hero growing up, paving the way for her success. These stars, despite their athletic prowess, were never rewarded with the same level of attention that Clark is now receiving. Remember, Clark did this on Saturday Night Live months ago, before I think right when she got drafted, right before, and no one noticed. No one cared. The people who are the ones talking crap about her, they never they I guess they don't watch Saturday Night Live. I don't know. But she's done this before, but yet then she's also said to not have praised and acknowledged the black players before her. Mind you, there's plenty of white players that came before her as well. So they don't matter. That's what this turned into. Acknowledge the black player before, but the white player who also started in this league at the same time is insignificant. Make that make sense. Because there's multiple people that had parts in this league starting out. You know, they didn't receive the same level of attention that Clark is now receiving. One, because the WNBA in 1997 was like it's brand new. Cynthia Cooper was great, but we didn't have social media back then. So, you know, there was only a handful of megastars in professional sports. If you go back to 1997, 98, 99, 2000, whatever, there's only a handful of megastar level people that crossed over into stuff. And I mean, if you look at it, Michael Jordan, Shaq, AI, but these are men's basketball players. Eventually Kobe joined the fray. However, when women's basketball never had that, no one cared. So I don't think there's anything that's a problem, and you don't have to now overcompensate to make it right. Like that's not how this works. Are we going back and giving NFL players in the 1960s and 70s and 80s $25 million a year because they did something? No. Are we going back and handing Michael Jordan a $70 million paycheck for 1984, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 90, 91, 92, 93, 96, 97, 98? No, we're not. But that's what players today are freaking starting to command, $50 to $70 million, and none of them have earned it. None of them are anywhere on the level of Michael Jordan, but he's not getting that. He's not getting that. He's not getting that as reparations for what he did for the league. So why are we got to go out of our way to give reparations to players from back in the day? Nobody, like, big deal. Michael Jordan had his recognition. He played at a different time. Money was less. Such is life. That's just the way it is. But when she says stuff like, then she goes into this is where her teammate speaks. Temi Bentley, really a little disappointed to me. America was founded on segregation, and to this day, the whole damn world was. Like, come on. The whole world was. But America, yes, it was. America was founded on segregation. To this day, it's very much about black and white. I'll tell you what, it is, but it wasn't this bad 25 years ago. Maybe I had my eyes closed. But the things that I see now, I didn't see 25 years ago. The hate, the division that I see now, I didn't see 25 years ago. It's a sport dominated by black African-American players. White America has rallied around Caitlin Clark. The support looks mostly amazing, sometimes fanatical and territorial, sometimes racist. I'm very sad that she would say that. Temi Bentley just called Caitlin Clark fans racist. And that just fits into the narrative that's been painted. Because there's lots of black men and women who are huge Caitlin Clark fans. And there are, to sit here, again, this goes back to the Renee Montgomery comment. Stans. Those aren't fans. Temi, when did you experience racism at an Indiana Fever game? I'd love for you to have elaborated on that. It seems like the Great White Hope Syndrome is at play. That's a preposterous statement to me. The Great White Hope Syndrome. Okay. Why don't we see it in the NFL with Christian McCaffrey? Why don't we see it in basketball with Luka Doncic and Nikola Jokic? Why don't we see it there? We don't see it in hockey at all. We don't see it in tennis, soccer, golf, any sport outside of women's. Hell, we don't even see it in boxing. But now other than that stupid movie, The Great White Hype, we don't, the Peter Berg movie, but we don't see that in any other sport where anyone would ever say some garbage like this. The Great White Hope Syndrome is at play again. How? She averaged 30 a game in college. It's not a great white hope syndrome. She averaged 30 a game in college. I just, that disappoints me that she would say that, because that just feeds into this narrative. But going into the season, Asia Wilson, she says she thought Clark's race was a huge contributor to her popularity. Oh Lord, this is the crap. Like, how can you defend this? This is not indefensible bullshit. It was not a huge contributor. Her skills were the contributor, were the huge contributor. If you want to say that race was a small contributor, then I can get on that. I can get on that card. But don't sit here and tell me 100% Caitlin Clark's race was 90% of the reason that we're talking about her. Because Diana Taurasi existed before Caitlin Clark. Elena Delle Donne existed before Caitlin Clark. Sue Bird. Brianna Stewart, your league MVP 2 years ago. These people existed before Caitlin. Sabrina Ionescu was supposed to be that person 5-6 years ago. She wasn't. It's got nothing to do with the race, because if the race was the factor, then the race would have carried all those women. Would it not? That's what makes it sound so outrageously stupid when I hear that shit. It doesn't matter what we all do as Black women. We're still going to get swept underneath the rug. This is coming from the Black woman that grew up in the privileged white community, the privileged white school, the privileged private school, privilege, privilege, privilege. She lived a life of privilege, and yet she resorts to being a victim. Asia Wilson plays the role of victim very well, telling her own teammate, that who was the leading scorer in NCAA history until Caitlin Clark broke it, Kelsey Plum, that she's here because of her white privilege. The 5'8" girl is there because of privilege, not because of skill. And that's what boils my blood when people say it's not about race, because it is. No, it's not. You've made it about race. Somehow it escapes every other league at this point in time. I'm not saying that it did not matter in sports at a certain period of time. In today's day, in today's day, go look at the top 10 paid NBA players right now. Go look at who they are. I'm going to pull it up. Top 10 NBA paid players. Right now, this season, Stephen Curry is the top paid player in the league. Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic, Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, Kawhi Leonard, Devin Booker, Paul George, Karl Anthony Towns, Jaylen Brown, Jimmy Butler. This is 11 now. Giannis, that's 12. Dame Lillard, LeBron, Rudy Gobert, Anthony Davis, Luka Doncic, Zach LaVine, Trae Young, Fred VanVleet, Lauri Markkanen, Anthony Edwards, Tyrese Halliburton, Pascal Siakam, Kyrie Irving, DeMontis Sabonis, Ben Simmons is insane, crazy. John Morant, Darius Garland, Zion Wilson. Of the top 30, there are 4 white guys on that list. 4. So tell me again how it's about race, when 26 and 18 of the top 26 of 30 and 18 of the top 20 are Black men. What? And if you want to go deeper, hey, 20, it's 36 of the top 40. So only 4 white dudes in the top 40. You want to go deeper? Let's go to 50. These are facts over feelings. For her to say that, hey, let's go deeper. We're gonna go all the way. Okay, okay, now we're at Isaiah Hartenstein is number 49, but guess what? His dad is Black, so he's a Black dude. So 46 of 50. You want to go to 60? Okay, now we're at 54 of 60 because Tyler Hero and Kristaps Porzingis. So 54 of the top 60 paid basketball players in the NBA right now are Black. And you're going to sit here and tell me that it boils your blood when you say it's not about race, because it is. No, it's not. If your skills mattered to people, if your ability actually drew people, it wouldn't mean shit. But because your skills are bland and boring and no one cares about your game, you got to blame it on something, but it can't be blamed on yourself. You have to blame it on race. You got to make it racial, which I think is pathetic. I think it's absolutely pathetic. Let's go to the next slide. Clark is cognizant of the racial underpinnings or pinings of her stardom. I want to say I've earned every single thing, but as a white person, there is privilege. Okay, Caitlin Clark, I'm going to explain to you the most basic thing of contradiction. You contradicted yourself. You can't have earned every single thing and then say that it was privilege. It's one or the other. It's one or the other. It can't, both. People say two things can be true. No, two things cannot be true here. You either earned every single thing or you are a beneficiary of privilege. Which one? And I would stand to say that she earned every single thing because this is a sport. This is not dad owns IBM or dad owns Kinko's or Amazon. Your dad's Jeff Bezos? Yeah, you didn't have to do shit. Like if you own something, if your father or mother owns a corporation, a business, yeah, you didn't earn that. That's a privilege. LeBron James' son is privileged. Bronny James is privileged. He's in the NBA because of privilege. Obviously not white privilege, but he's in the NBA because of privilege. If his dad been the CEO of one of his damn companies now, it'd be privilege. He didn't earn his spot in the NBA. He didn't earn it in the G League. It was given to him. It was a gift. So privilege and earning, you can't have both. I would say that Caitlin earned it because she's done it on the floor. She was a first-team All-WNBA player. That's not privilege. That's earned. Your game, your work, earned it. So you should, and you're young. You're 22 years old, and I'm a big fan. But understand that some of the things that you're saying can be looked at like, yo, why are you doing that? A lot of those players in the league have been really good, have been black players. Great, yeah, wonderful. This league has kind of been built on. No, it hasn't. The league has not been built on black women. The league has been built on the NBA. The NBA allows this league to exist. There are black women players. Great. I don't know how many black women players there were in the first season of the WNBA. I have no idea. I have no idea. I guarantee you it's not the same difference in the NBA, though. I would venture to guess it's a lot closer to 50-50 than it is in the NBA, about 80-20, black to white. Maybe it's 60-40, but it's not 80-20. That I can guarantee. But again, it wasn't built on them because the league hasn't been built. The league has been floating in on a river with a weight on one end and the NBA pulling it up on the other. So the weight to sink it to the bottom is here, but the NBA has a string tied to that boat and keeps it floating. Fact of the matter is, the league has been built on the NBA's contributions and the NBA's money because this league has lost money for 28 years. The more we can appreciate that, highlight that, talk about that, and continue to have brands and companies invest in those players that have made this league incredible, I think it's very important. I have to continue to try to change it. No, you don't. The more we can elevate black women, that's going to be, again, it's not your job. You're a basketball player. It's not your job to elevate other players. Rising tides lift all ships, right? So if you're doing what you do, you don't have to say one singular word to help them or what other white player. You don't need to do anything other than what you do to help Sabrina Ionescu, Brenna Stewart, next year Paige Beckers. It's not your job. You're a basketball player. And this is the problem of the WNBA. It's so concerned with elevating everyone has to carry everyone else. You think Jason Tatum gives two shits about what player X gets paid? No, not one bit. You think LeBron gives two shits about how someone other players treated? No, not one bit. It's not your job to uplift the rest of the players in the league because you know what? How you uplift them? Every time you show up and play and that building is full and the TV ratings are 1.5, 2 million people watching on television, guess what? You brought eyes to these players that no one's ever seen before. So you brought eyes to players that no one knows, and now people are figuring out who the hell they are, right? So people are now seeing them because of you. You did your job. You elevated them, and you didn't have to do anything but play ball. It's their job to elevate themselves so that when people see them, and I'll give you an example, which I've used before many, many times. Kennedy Carter. Kennedy Carter. She is a superstar talent. And people know who she is now because of Caitlin Clark. People have watched her because of Caitlin Clark. And when she played against Caitlin Clark, minus the shove to the back, the body check, she has balled out. Her skill has made you even forget about that and realize, yo, she's a badass ball player. I need to watch her play. And that's where it's not your job to uplift them and bring brands to them. Like, you're not their agent. You're not their agent. Companies invest in people who will help their brands build. That's why you have endorsements up the wazoo, because you help brands make money. If they don't help brands make money, they're not going to give them endorsement deals, no matter what you say. So keep that in mind. That's why I just think you have to be very careful of the things that you say in this, because this sounds a lot like someone who's young who wants to be accepted in this cult, because this is not a or this sorority, but this is more of a cult because this group, this mob activism, because at the end of the day, they don't care about her. And no matter what she says, they still don't believe her. She's also adjusting to rigors. There's no disrespect to college women's basketball. Um, Pros are a lot smarter. I love women's college basketball. If you go back and watch the way people guarded me, it's almost like concerning. They didn't double me. They didn't trap me. Yeah, they didn't double you because they couldn't. You're too good. You're too good. Like, you got layup drills when they single covered you. If they doubled you, it would have been worse for them, actually. They picked the two poisons. The poison was to let you shoot and try not to let you have 17 assists a game. They weren't physical. Well, there's only 5 fouls in college basketball. So if they're physical, they're going to foul out faster. And it's hard. It's college. A lot of the women will never go to play another basketball game in their life. They don't have the IQ of understanding how the game works. I mean, of course, college is going to be easier than the NBA, than the WNBA. You're professionals. You're comparing a professional to a college player. I mean, there's a difference, but at the same time, there's certain abilities that allow these professionals to double team you, bang the hell out of you because they get 6 fouls, not 5. The game is called differently, so that they allow the physicality more. So there's different dynamics to that, but I don't think it has anything to do with the fact that they didn't want to, because they could want to and they know they have to, but if they do that, they might not have the players behind them to protect from having you have 17 assists. Instead of you averaging 30 and 32 and 9, 32 and 8, you average 27 and 17. That's actually worse for the other team. So, yeah. This is where I think she gets into this major defense of all these players who have been just shit turds to her. Clark casts aside any notion that envious opponents were coming after her. I disagree. I never thought I was being targeted. Well, says Clark, obviously that shouldn't ever happen within a game, but basketball is physical. Your emotions can get the best of you. My emotions have gotten the best of me many times. She says she did not see Reese cheering from the bench. That was when Kennedy Carter backchucked her. I don't even know if she really knew what happened. Honestly, I don't think she was cheering because somebody hit me. I really don't think that would be the case. I hope not. Reese's representatives did not make her available for this article. Why not, Reese? She asked Caitlin. We all saw it. There's video. She cheered. She literally was clapping when it was done. She cheered. She was thrilled. She enjoyed it. A lot of people wanted to have opinions on what was happening probably didn't even watch half the games that they were trying to have a take on, and they hadn't supported W for a really long time. I watched the games. You were targeted. You had opponents that were definitely envious of you, and at the end of the day, you took shots that no one else took. You took shots no one else took. So yeah, I completely disagree with Caitlin Clark on this one. I think that this is just another example of her trying to appease these individuals. She's just trying to appease them. She's trying to hopefully maybe calm the disdain they have for her. And this is where I say you're bending the knee and kissing the ring, because everyone saw what happened this year. She had more flagrants committed against her than anybody else by far. And Angel Reese absolutely did cheer when she got body checked from behind. This all happened. It's not a secret. It happened. And then she talks about this. There's another example. In a matchup against the Liberty, Clark ran into, this was after the situation with Chicago. Clark ran into a Jonquel Jones screen and ruptured her eardrum. What? It was vibrating. My hearing was really messed up. She shot 1 for 10 from the field in a 36-point loss, drubbing. A 5-day reprieve came in the schedule, came at the perfect moment. Think about the fact that you're sitting here defending they're not coming after you, but you get caught on a screen that gives you that ruptures your eardrum. You know how hard you got to get hit? Like, first of all, I'm pissed at my teammates for not calling the back screen out. I haven't seen video of the screen. I don't even remember, to be honest. But to hit someone that hard that you bust their eardrum, that's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So yes, people did want to take you out. And I'm not saying Jonquel Jones did, because she's a big girl, and I mean, if she's at a legal screen, I mean, but they ran you right into it, and that's fine. That's part of basketball. But man, that's pretty crazy. And people were criticizing her play that day. It's like, well, yeah, she was her balance was like, when you have a busted eardrum, it's like your balance is here. You're not balanced because you have no stability when you have stuff like that. This is talking about the Olympic team. A point everyone was like, who are you taking off the team? And that was a tremendous point. Clark also admits that during her early stretch for the 3-9 fever, I gave them a lot of reasons to keep me off the team with my play. See, she's dumbing her down there. She's dumbing herself down here. That's nonsense. She didn't give them reasons to keep her off the team. She was the best guard in the league at that point. She was averaging more points, assists, or right there. She was in line with every single guard, if not better. Her numbers across the board were better than all 6 guards. If you look at the entirety of the stat lines, she was better than all of them. So again, she's deferring. She's bending. She's saying, yeah, maybe you're right, blah, blah, blah. You don't do that. Stop deferring to them. You're a badass. You finished first team all WNBA. They didn't. And who are you taking off the team? Anybody. Anybody you were better than. And it had nothing to do with marketing. So yeah, if people were saying because of the marketing, yeah, that's offensive because that's a bullshit reason. Now, we're talking about here, this was the DeJounte Carter situation where DeJounte Carter poked Clark in the eye. No, she jabbed her in the eye while trying to deflect the pass. The contact became more fodder for social media. After USA Today's Christine Brennan asked Carrington if she intended to hit Clark in the eye. Obviously, it's never intentional, Carrington said. The WNBA Players Union publicly called for Brennan's credentials to be revoked, saying the interview was a blatant attempt to bait a professional athlete into participating in a narrative that is false and designed to fuel racist, homophobic, and misogynistic vitriol on social media. After the Sun eliminated the fever, Connecticut's Alyssa Thomas said, I think that in my 11-year career, I've never experienced the racial comments like from the Indiana Fever fan base. Again, where? First of all, where? That was preposterous. Did you get called some names at games by players, by fans in Indiana? Did you get called names at fans in Connecticut? Who called your names? Don't tell me social media. I don't want to hear social media. Social media is bullcrap. Again, those are trolls. We're gonna go back down that road. Trolls. And Christine Brennan had every right to ask that question because at no point did DeJounte Carrington ever sit here and check on Caitlin Clark. You just jabbed her with a fingernail in the eye. Okay, and this is where this whole contra temps, whatever that, I don't even know what that means, still annoys Clark. Never once did that cross my mind that it was on purpose, she says. I've been poked in the eye many times playing basketball. It happens. Clark feels feels debate about intent reveals a gender double standard. See, that's bogus because I have seen people get poked in the eye. There's one thing to get poked in the eye when your hand's going back like this. Another thing to go in the air, see someone's hand go like this and literally turn into a beak and comes straight down and lands square in your eye socket. There's a big difference between the two. There's a big difference between those two things. So when you compare those two things, you're sitting here saying that it never crossed your mind. Well, it should have crossed your mind because she's the same person who's disrespected you on social media. She's the same person who's fouled you in dirty ways, made fun of you, done everything to insult you and embarrass and just dismiss you. And yet now she's fouling you in a certain way, and it doesn't cross your mind. It absolutely would cross my mind. I'll give you an example. I had a kid, my son played in a soccer game on Monday night. We played a team. We have a bunch of kids from the same school, and we played in a city league game. And we played some kids from our school. One of the kids, who's a friend of my son's, says to him, "I'm going to kick you in the face in this soccer game." Right? And while he may be joking, I don't take that as a joke. I don't find that funny at all. Because you are playing soccer and people do kick. And a foot magically can't come up in the air and kick someone right in the jaw. Magically. And maybe you don't know that kid might not be the friend you think he is, right? In that game, my son got smacked in the face by said same kid in a backward slap motion, punch slap motion. Convenient, huh? If he had not said that stuff before the game last week, I wouldn't have thought nothing of it. But the fact that he said that makes me think that maybe he did do that on purpose. Why should I think differently? Why? Because we were kicking their ass. We beat their ass 7-1, and they were pissed. And kids do stupid shit when they're pissed. People do stupid shit when they're pissed. So I just don't. Yes, we've seen players get poked in the eye. We've never seen players poked in the eye the way she got poked in the eye by a player who outrightly has been vocal about her dislike for Caitlin Clark. If that would have happened in the NBA, do you think people would have showed up the next day and been like, "Hey, Tyrese Halliburton, did you poke Steph Curry in the eye on purpose?" She says, "No." You know what would have happened? What would have happened on the floor of said game, literally after it happened, would have been Tyrese Halliburton would have been checking on Steph Curry to see if he's all right. Immediately would have been checking on Steph Curry. That's the difference. Men, I'm not trying to hurt you, my guy. Unless your name is Draymond Green, these guys aren't trying to hurt each other. So that's why when they get hit in a certain way, they check on the guy typically immediately thereafter. Dejanay Carrington did not do that at any point in this game. She never checked on her. In fact, the most active woman on social media, Twitter space, one of, never posted a comment or anything saying, "I apologize, Caitlin, blah, 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 it wasn't unintentional." And only when it was Christine Brennan who asked the question 2 or 3 days later, did you have this incredulous look like, you think, no, never. That's bogus. While Clark says she wasn't aware that the union was going to reprimand Brennan, she supported its decision. Why would you support that? Why would you support a union trying to reprimand a media member for asking a legitimate question? That whole line of questioning that Carrington got was not appropriate. I did not like that at all. See, I think that's bullshit. I think that's bullshit. And I think Clark is wrong for saying that because Christine Brennan stood up for Caitlin Clark. And now Caitlin Clark is running Christine Brennan over with a bus. She's absolutely running her over with a bus. And that is garbage, in my opinion. See, this is where the Time writer pieces stuff together, but this is not right. This is not right. This reporter asked the question actually in defense of you, and you have now run that reporter over with a bus. A very well-known and esteemed reporter. Another one who supported you being in the Olympics, no less. Very interesting. But yeah, if someone's been doing things to you all year, you should expect that they did that shit on purpose. Because she didn't check on you, and she didn't care to. Has she still? Caitlin, I have a genuine question for Caitlin Clark. Did she call you? Did she speak to you and ever go to you and apologize directly to you? Did she ever see how you were doing? No. No, she didn't. Many observers seem inclined to reserve judgment on Clark and her approach to confronting off-court issues, given that she was a rookie just in life and as an athletic icon. She should be afforded some grace, Fact Bentley text. Understanding the racial tensions in this country, could she have been more proactive about condemning her racist fans' words and this? This is your teammate. Oh my God! You know what? Good riddance, Tammy Fact Bentley. The fact that you wrote this crap disgusts me. You played in Indiana. No one gave you crap. So stop it. Stop it. Sure, if it's she's comfortable standing up. She did it. She made statements about it in the first 10 games. Is she supposed to do this every week? Is this part of the weekly press conference? People who are trolls stop being assholes. Like that's not her job. That's not her job. When asked if Clark did enough to combat the racist threats against other players, Montgomery, the Atlanta co-owner and former player, declined to comment. Well, she said what she had to say in September. Dream forward Cheyenne Parker Tyus, meanwhile, says she thinks Clark handled it all well. I'm not concerned about her and how she stands with racial comments or hateful comments. She feels the way we all feel. She's made that clear. Exactly. She's made that clear. But for some reason, that's not good enough for the owner of the Atlanta Dream, Renee Montgomery. It's okay for the player, but it's not good enough for the owner. Fuck out of here. That was my first F-bomb. Sorry. Clark says she stays off social media. Blah, blah, blah. Something I'm trying to navigate. She wasn't aware that to talk about the eye poke, for example. I'm trying to find balance while being a rookie. Exactly. You notice if she had been on social media the way these women are on social media, she probably would have seen tons and tons of death threats and negative things DM'd to her that she never talked about because she didn't know, because she doesn't look at that crap. But these women are sitting there all day long worried about what they do on social media all freaking day. Give me a break. Ignore it. I hope we can do a better job as a league of protecting our players. They are protected, so we can stop that mess and putting better resources around them to make it safe. The environment's perfectly safe. The environment's perfectly safe. And obviously, there's only so much that you can police on social media because we don't have full control. Exactly. You don't have control over it. So why are you acting like that shit's real life? Social media is the farthest thing from real life. You have trolls on social media with fake accounts, bots. Half the videos made on YouTube today are not made by humans. They're made by AI. Listen to the voice. Those aren't normal voices. Those are robotic voices that you hear on your voicemail. So, but there is a real responsibility. I understand that. I acknowledge that. So what's her message to this is now the Time magazine writer. What's her message to bad faith actors harassing others in her name? They're not harassing others in her name. That's the point. Just stop, because that's not who I am. Great. We know this. We know this. They did talk about the coach, the new coach. And she says, I'm not the general manager of the team. She had nothing to do with the change. Believe it or not, adds Hull. That's bullshit. She didn't stop it, though. Look, Caitlin, God bless you. You didn't stop it, because we all know it was best for the team. It was best for your career, because Christy Sides was a tragically bad coach. If you go to the next one, she knows she can get better. She expresses her admiration for White's game. We didn't usually have the best game plan back. That's a pot shot at Christy Sides. Like, here's a ball screen, Caitlin, figure it out. Like, that's a pot shot. She says she's back, she's scratching the surface. Now she can change the world and impact people. There's also been so many people that are not involved in women's sports, that are just in the workforce or whatever they do. They're just like, thank you for what you do for women. Exactly. That's what most people feel about Caitlin Clark. The people that don't feel that way about Caitlin Clark are the ones that play against her. That's the weirdest thing. The people that she most impacts financially are the people in the league. And yet those are the people that have the most dislike for her. While people in the street just enjoy watching her play. And thank you for what you do for women. Thank you for what you're doing for the sport. She's heard it a million times. It's wild, man. It's wild that people in the street can acknowledge and appreciate her, but the people in her own league cannot do so. And that is it. Pretty sure that's the last one. Pretty sure that's the last. Yeah, that was the last one. So that made me, obviously, Caitlin Clark said what she said. I still am a huge fan of Caitlin Clark. I'm not one of those people that's going to sit here and say I'm not going to be a fan of Caitlin Clark because she said this and because she's 22 years old, man. She's a kid. She's still a kid in reality. She's dealing with a lot. She's carrying a league in her first year. Incredible first year, rookie of the year, broke countless records, set countless firsts. She's an amazing, amazing athlete, an amazing human being. She treats people with respect. She goes into press conferences, never said a negative word about any other player on any other team, despite what they did, said, or about anything about her. The negative words, the negative plays, the eye gouges, the chucks, all the different things. And does Caitlin Clark have things she has to work on? Absolutely. She has to work on not having temper tantrums. She has too many temper tantrums. She has to stop that. No question about it. That's something she's going to work on. She says it's a work in progress. She's going to get tons of yellow cards in soccer. That's not a surprise. That's not a surprise at all. But again, that's basketball. That's sport. But when she goes off the court and she is interviewed, this is what you got. You got someone who's always defending other people, despite what they've done to her. She did it during the season and post-game press conferences. You have an owner of a team who will not comment now, even though because she commented 3 months ago and said what she had to say. But anyhow, let me know your thoughts on this Time Magazine interview. It seems like it was a piece on really just making Caitlin Clark say sorry to people and defending people and defending people's actions. Because at the end of the day, she is the rising tide that will lift all ships. It's time that they actually do their part if they want to be lifted up with those ships. And when she's lifted them all up, show the world who you are. But it's not Caitlin Clark's job to get them endorsement deals, get them paid. It's their job. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. This is Rudy's Rant. Facts over feelings. Hit that like button, subscribe, share this video. Now, this is a long one, but I wanted to go in deep in depth on this one because I think it's important to really break down everything in that article. Those are screenshots of pretty much realistically 75% of the article. So let me know your thoughts. Love to hear your comments. Appreciate y'all. Sure like this video. Have a good one. Come on now.